So my cholesterol has naturally always been quite high since checking it the first time around 4 years ago. And during these years, my doctor has always told me that therefore I should avoid saturated fat and foods that contain a lot of cholesterol, like eggs. And that's exactly what I've done for most of my life. But I've felt just terrible following this advice, and now when I understand the importance of cholesterol and how it actually affects your body, it's pretty clear why. It was around a year ago when I first started eating a lot more eggs because I heard that eggs is this absolute powerhouse of nutrients, which they also are. But then around 8 months ago when I went to the doctor for a checkup, she told me that my LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol, is around twice of what the upper end should be. And she told me that if I were her kid, she would like me to take these statins, which is this cholesterol reducing drug. And in that moment I thought that if this doctor with 30 years of experience tells me that I should start taking this drug, I should probably do it. So that's eventually what I did. But afterwards I still wasn't feeling good. I still wasn't feeling good taking this drug, eating less eggs. So I continued doing research because I was desperate to find something that could work for me. And today I know for a fact that my doctor is wrong, and I know that cholesterol is not the enemy when it comes to heart disease or any metabolic issues. It's actually the opposite. And even though I believe that my doctor wanted the best for me, I just think that most doctors today are totally misinformed on how cholesterol actually works and what are the actual reasons behind heart disease and all these other issues that are steadily increasing today. My name is Felix, and in this video I want to debunk the myth that cholesterol is bad for you. I will tell you what the research says, I will link all the studies in the description, and at the end I will tell you the reasons that really causes heart disease and these other issues, and what I personally do and what kind of diet I am eating having naturally very high cholesterol levels. And I know that this is a quite controversial topic and that most doctors will not agree with me, but I believe that I've done my research, which most doctors have not. So the first thing I want to make very clear in this video is that your body naturally produces around 75% of all the cholesterol you need, and it's a very vital precursor to many hormones that are absolutely vital for your health, like testosterone and estrogen. So why would your body create something that is bad for you? If cholesterol is this evil thing, why would your body produce 75% of everything you need? It doesn't make any sense. And when you actually take a look at the studies, it's very clear that cholesterol is not linked to heart disease, and this belief is based on a false premise. So most studies done on cholesterol are very conflicting, but usually the studies that show that cholesterol is bad for you are studies that show a correlation between cholesterol and heart disease, but not causation. And that's a very important detail. Just because something correlates doesn't mean that it's the cause of something. And this should be pretty obvious if you've gone through a basic course in statistics. To give you a good example of how correlation is not the same as causation, you can think of the summer months where both ice cream sales and drowning incidents usually increase. So this would basically show that there's a correlation between eating ice cream and having an increased risk of drowning. And that's obviously not the case. The common factor here is the summer weather, which is hotter, and when the weather is good, it leads to more people buying ice cream and more people swimming, which will lead to more people drowning. But by saying you eating ice cream, that would somehow increase the risks of you drowning, that's just incorrect. And that's the same thing with cholesterol and heart disease. Higher cholesterol simply doesn't mean higher risk of heart disease or any other type of disease or metabolic issues whatsoever. So the only reason why it's really believed that cholesterol is this bad thing are because of studies that have been funded by sugar companies where their goal was to try to make it look like saturated fat and meat is bad for you and for your health instead of sugar, which is actually the enemy in all of this. So cholesterol is not and has never been the problem. And this is not a debate. It's a cold fact that cholesterol is actually good and vital for your health, and it's other variables that causes heart disease and all these other metabolic health issues. And I'm glad to see that today more doctors and people are waking up to this fact that all these studies were funded by big food and sugar companies. But unfortunately, most people still believe that cholesterol is an issue, and that's why people are afraid of eating meat, eggs, and saturated fat. And personally, I've always liked to look at the data and trends. And when you take a look at the statistics, it's very clear that cholesterol is not the issue here. Just looking at the last 50 years, health guidelines have recommended reducing red meat, saturated fat, and cholesterol, which most of the world has done. And looking at US statistics since the 1970s, red meat consumption has dropped around 30%, while at the same time we've increased the consumption of vegetables, and seed oils have increased a whopping 200% in the last 50 years. And what has happened? You would think that if cholesterol, saturated fat, and red meat consumption has been going down, and all these vegetables and seed oils have been going up, that this should make people more healthier over time, right? But as everyone watching knows, all diseases from neurological disorders, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, stroke, and obesity, they have all exponentially increased and are just expected to keep on growing over time, especially in younger people. And it's also more of these young people who are consuming more seed oils and carbs that the food guidelines are recommending us to do. So from the data and statistics, it really logically makes no sense that cholesterol or red meat or saturated fat would be the enemy, because there is clearly a inverse correlation between the two. And interestingly, in recent studies, which I will link below, show absolutely zero correlation between heart disease and cholesterol. There's really no evidence of this when you look deep under the studies. And many studies even show that in healthy individuals who are not insulin sensitive or obese, lower LDL cholesterol is linked with higher all-cause mortality. And this would indicate that cholesterol is actually protective for you, which is 100% is. That is the point of cholesterol. And without enough cholesterol, your body cannot simply function. You can't live without cholesterol, and that's why your body also produces it. So to try to suppress this natural and crucial precursor to so many vital hormones, it's really not the smartest thing you can do. And a topic that is very close to my heart, because I know that many people are struggling with it, is mental health issues. And here the studies show as well that the lower LDL cholesterol you have, the more likely you are to be depressed or even commit suicide. And the reasons for this is that when your LDL cholesterol is low, your hormones will not function properly, and even your brain suffers when it doesn't get enough cholesterol and saturated fat, because your brain is made out of fat. So cholesterol and saturated fat are vital for long-term brain health as well. But what is really causing all heart disease is, of course, a very complex subject with a lot of different variables. But the root cause of all of this is clear. It's inflammation and insulin resistance. And what causes inflammation and insulin resistance? You guessed it. It's carbohydrates, sugar, seed oils, and processed foods. Because having high blood sugar increases plaque buildup in your arteries, and that is also the reason why people with diabetes have an increased risk of getting heart disease. And the only time cholesterol becomes a problem is when you're metabolically not healthy. But what I want to make clear from this section is that it's never been the cholesterol that is the problem, because cholesterol is important for so many different reasons, and your body is legit made out of cholesterol. So it's a lot better to actually take a look at the root problems of heart disease and these other diseases rather than just blame cholesterol, because it's clear that just by reducing cholesterol you will not do any good for your health. So what is then the solution to maintaining good heart health and getting your body to function as it should? And the most important thing you can do is, first of all, cut out all the processed foods and the carbohydrates. Because if you don't eat any carbohydrates, meaning that you are on a ketogenic or a carnivore diet, you will fix your health by addressing the root problem. Because if you're not eating any carbs, your body will not be inflamed, you will not be insulin resistant. So therefore, being on a carnivore diet is the best thing you can do if you're concerned about heart health or cholesterol, because you're fixing the fundamental problem that is caused by carbs. And it's not only carbs that is the problem, it's also seed oils, processed foods, all these things that cause you inflammation and disrupt how your body should work. And seed oils especially, which many people think that are very healthy, is a very big part of the problem, since they are harmful and pro-inflammatory due to their very high omega-6 fatty acid content, their nature to oxidize, and usually when processing seed oils, it will also introduce trans fats and other harmful substances into the seed oils, which are detrimental for your health. So I hope you found value in this video and that I made it clear for you why cholesterol is not the problem relating to heart disease and other metabolic issues and illnesses. Please comment down below if you disagree or agree with anything. I really appreciate a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, I upload every single day. But as always, eat meat, take care, and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.